The image of what people had of me, I don't look like that anymore. I felt like I had been smacked in the face with a shovel. I just was blown away why no one was talking about something that no woman was going to avoid. Understanding this horrific shame and taboo that has existed around it for such a long time. It's easy to fall down into the pit of despair.
A lot of us have grown up watching you as a model, beautiful couple that you and Cameron are, and motherhood and all of that. Now you've sort of pivoted and talking a lot about perimenopause and menopause. But can we just have a little bit of an idea as to how different is what you're doing now as to where you started?
There's been such a journey in between, I have to say as well. Like I didn't go from modelling straight to perimenopause.
You did not.
And it's funny because I'm sort of almost railing against my younger self in some ways. I had no idea when I was 19, 18 that I was, sometimes I would become the figure of what people wish they could look like, or, like what those, like, the 40-year-old woman, like, oh, youth is the way to go. And there I am, advertising that to the fullest extent, because now I'm 55 going, look at these young models, like, where's the older models representing us, so now I'm on the flip side of it. But yeah, there was a big journey in between to get me to the perimenopause wellness space.
But I think it's so lovely to have watched I grew up with cutouts from Dolly magazine on my bedroom wall of you.
Right.
To be able to see you be vulnerable and share along the way, I think is something that a lot of people would probably shy away from because you've been in the public eye.
Yeah.
And things, start to change and we start to physically change, emotionally change. Like, has that been hard being somebody who has been known for how you look?
It only became hard when I moved back to Australia. So 25 years in Los Angeles and I was absolutely out of the entertainment industry. I was a doula, so I was doing, assisting in births. I was a preschool teacher. I taught a fitness class. Like that was my life, and I was out of the public eye. So I never. My focus became something different, especially when I became a preschool teacher, because that was my lifelong dream. Little kids don't give a crap about how you look. It's like, is there food on the table? You sing me a good song, and what's the story of the day? But moving back to Australia, I immediately felt the pressure. Because when people started saying, weren't you? And I remember you. And I had a really weird reaction to it for a long time where I felt really embarrassed and really ashamed of how my body had changed, because I thought, oh my God, they're thinking I'm this, 18-year-old that could wear bikinis, and not I can't wear them now, but I scare small children. But the image of what people had of me, I don't look like that anymore. At least I really didn't think I looked like that anymore. And sometimes people would go, did I go to school with you? Or did I? And I'm never going to say, it might have been through Dolly. It was very difficult to sort of come to terms with my own judgment. And that's really what it was. And it wasn't until a friend of mine said, those women that are coming up to you, they're actually not judging you, right? And I'm like, they're not? And she's like, no, that's you judging you. And once I sort of understood that and like flipped it, and I was like, yeah, it is. It's me. It's my own judgment against myself, along with society's judgment of women aging and women putting on weight, all of that sort of embedded in my brain. And plus, from a very early age being a model where looks were everything, So
Right.
there was a bit to unpack for me.
I think it's really important to have these conversations, because I think a lot of women would be judging themselves, whether they were in the public eye, as a model or whoever they are and whatever their career path is, probably feeling exactly the same.
I 100% agree. Like people say, oh, it must be harder for you as a model. I'm like, I think it's just hard for everyone. It's hard to not see yourself the way society sees you. It's really about how you find yourself and being easy with yourself.
Right, but our bodies do change, and I wonder how long it will take for us to understand and accept each phase and stage from the perspective of expectations, society, pressure. I feel like that will happen the way that our bodies change is part of an important transition. There's reasons for it.
Yes.
I wonder what that will look like in the future, and I can only hope that it'll just be, this is what's normal at this phase and stage of life.
Right, yeah.
Because we are who we are and that doesn't change. But we're all of us, I think, are probably, to your point, so hard on ourselves.
Yeah. And the more we educate ourselves around hormones and how they can affect the changes on our body, I feel like it just, like that's what really helped me, understanding that I hadn't done anything wrong. I had just, my hormones had just sort of, well, part of them were, leaving the building at a rapid rate. And, my body just went into this, that, and the other and changed and shifted and was like, this is where we're at now. This is what's going on. You're this size now. Okay. I'm like, okay. All right. I get it. But yeah, knowing the why absolutely helped so much, so much.
Your transition through perimenopause and menopause has obviously been a turning point now with the way that you're advocating for women and talking more about this, and you've created a platform. Where did that come from? At some point in time, were you just like, enough's enough, we've got to talk about this? I'd love to learn a little bit more about that.
So I wrote a book, it was like 3.5 years ago now. And that book sort of spurred me from my own experience, which is, like a lot of women, had a horrific time. And was unbelievable. Like I felt like I had been smacked in the face with a shovel, just not understanding the effect of hormones. I'd never, ever been told about it. I'm the youngest of 3 sisters. My mum had never said a word about menopause. I had a lot of older girlfriends who'd never said a word about menopause, hadn't heard the word perimenopause till about 8 years ago or something. When my health went down to such an extreme level, mostly my mental health, I think that was the thing that hit me the hardest. I just was blown away by my lack of information, by the world's seemingly lack of information, but why no one was talking about something that no woman was going to avoid. Yes, women were going to sail through.
Yes.
And the more I kind of looked at it and sort of tried to talk about it, like some women were just unwilling to share. Some women were like, oh my God, thank God you're talking about it. And then doing the research for my book, just understanding just this horrific shame and taboo that has existed around it for such a long time. And we talk about so many other things now, where we talk about our periods now so much easier, and IVF and infertility and endometriosis. We're there. And it just felt like this was the last stand for women that really we hadn't owned up to, that we need to talk about. I mean, it's sort of multi-layered though, but I think being attached to aging is a big part of it as well, where looking at that part of ourselves that is getting older. The whole idea that you're no longer fertile, so you're no longer attractive. I mean, there's so much wrapped up into it, but there's so much more on the flip side that's so fabulous about it too. But I think you have to kind of really, really work to find that sometimes. Like it's easy to fall down into the pit of despair with menopause, but there's so much more that I think is positive as well.
You mentioned symptoms. You said mental health. What were some of the other symptoms? You said they were horrendous. I'd love to learn, because I think talking about it is really important. Women don't associate their symptoms with those changes. The other day, itchy ears.
Oh my God, such
I'm like,
itchy
oh,
ears.
that's what that is.
Oh, nuts. Like, why? Like, why is that happening?
I just kept thinking it was my hair going back inside my ear again. I'm like, why is my hair going in my ear all the time?
Yeah. And now those over-the-ear earphones really irritate my ears even more. So I'm like, dang it, I really enjoyed those up until a few years ago. So mine was like flooding periods, just like crazy amount of blood. Then it was like very rapid weight gain, joint soreness and stiffness, really dry skin, really dry eyes, headaches.
We're so lucky, aren't we?
Yeah, it was an amazing time. I had the dry tongue as well. I had the really dry tongue. I mean, the biggest one, which I think probably tops the list was just my sleep was gone, like absolutely gone. So therefore I just felt like I couldn't cope with anything else. You know, it wasn't just a simple fix from there. The sleep eluded me for seemingly felt like years, but I think it was just a good 2 or 3 maybe, I don't know. But yeah, the sleep was rough.
And I think the hard part is there are so many symptoms and everyone is so unique.
That's
to know
right.
what's actually associated with hormone changes or life can be really difficult. It's a little bit like, I remember after having children and actually in hindsight had a thyroid problem but didn't realise, and I just was like, oh, that's just how you feel after you have children.
Yeah, of course.
Like, how would you even know? It's not like you get to go, I'm going to experience – childbirth's a bit different because the second time around you go, oh, hang on a minute, that was not that. Whereas you don't get to have various I guess you maybe do have iterations of perimenopause and menopause, but you don't get to go again and again and again like you do with childbirth.
Yeah,
right? Well, let's hope not anyway.
Yeah, one's enough. Thanks very much.
So it is really tricky because women feel like they are losing their mind.
Yeah.
And there are these symptoms that nobody's talking about.
Yeah. We're under pressure more than ever, I think, women our age as well, because often we're working, we've often got the teens, we've often got the older parents. I know we talk about that a lot, you know, the sandwich generation. And it's so easy to pass off those symptoms as just stress. And I know for me, having just left 25 years in America, packed up 3 kids' lives, said goodbye to community, and you know, and you would know too that, you know, my adrenals were shot, so that made my hormones skyrocket, you know, or dip, whatever, even more. But yeah, my first thing was like, it's just stress. You're just sad because you left America. You're just stressed out and it'll all be okay. But no.
Well, I think the other hard part is that stress just speeds everything up too.
Yeah, true.
And it is the thing that I think that deserves more conversation as we open up these topics and we start to talk more about it. I think that's what we'll start to see a lot more of. We're overextended.
Yes.
And not only that, we're unaware of how busy life gets at this phase alongside of everything else changing for us. You created a platform, Aviana, for women who are, tell me about it. Maybe not my words, your words, as to obviously it's a platform for women, you know, experiencing perimenopause and menopause. But can you tell me more about it?
Yes, I'd love to. Well, this sprung for me with a meeting with my beautiful co-founder, Mary Dubé, and I knew I wanted to do something more in this space when I started to travel to the rural areas with my book and do some panel talks and stuff just around wellness advocacy in perimenopause. I'm certainly no doctor and don't know all the medical facts, but it was just getting the conversation going. And the more I traveled to the rural areas, which were my favorite places to go to, the more women were like, I don't have any help. Like there's a nurse that comes in once a week and she doesn't know anything about menopause. And it was just town after town and woman after woman. I was like, holy crap, this is really bad. Like there is women like desperately struggling for support. And no one knew where to go. They didn't know where to turn. And, you know, there was women in medically induced menopause that were like, they took the uterus and the ovaries and said, see you later, off you go. Like just awful stories. And so I knew I wanted to do something that could reach more women and do something at scale, but I didn't know what that could possibly be. Enter Mary Dubé, who'd already built an app. She'd also had a really rough time with her menopause, also mental health. And she found strength training and she became like one of Australia's strongest women, just fell in love with it. And as you kind of do, being her age, other women her age went, hey, what are you doing? You look like you're really strong and you lost all this weight and you seem really happy now. And she's like, it's strength training. So she did a whole course on it and built this program. And so we met and we were like, let's make this really menopause, perimenopause focused. Let's see if we can, we've got the 12-week program and it covers breath and stress and sleep and nutrition. And really make it accessible as much as we can to everyone. And we're just now, we're just crowdfund, right in the middle of a crowdfund. So we're going to really make it deeply AI tech. So it will have telehealth, it will have a library of information of really well-versed, educated people that will be able to speak to women and support them. It's got like an e-commerce store, so specific things for women to find, for their symptoms. And so we're just trying to cover all our bases and think what would we have wanted when we were going through that really would have helped us. So that is the plan. That's what's happening.
Yes. I think it's so important though because it's under-resourced.
Yeah.
The information that has been is somewhat outdated to your point of talking about adrenals and stress and lifting, and these things are often forgotten because women feel so horrible that the first point of call, and we're not here to talk about medically what's right or wrong for women, but it's often not enough. The medical treatments aren't enough because women aren't given those foundational pieces that are different from when they were younger. And that can be an absolute game changer. So it's so important. It's so great.
We really wanted to build that out holistically. So if you're looking for a naturopath, or if you're looking for a doctor, if you're looking for a physio, if you're looking for a mental health expert, that it can all be there. And, they're trusted people that aren't going to gaslight you or dismiss you in your time of need.
I had seen recently on your Instagram that Cameron had gone on there and was talking a little bit about menopause and perimenopause, because it's another layer, right?
Yeah.
That I think is often lost.
Yes.
Did you have to really nudge him to do that, or was he happy to do that on his own?
He was fantastic. Look, did I write the script for him? Maybe. There was one video that he did and he just went absolutely gangbusters. I think to this day it is mine and Aviana's most watched video. As you were saying, it's just when you hear a man talk about it, because we talk of, it's obviously now algorithms and everything, and we talk about it all the time as women. When you hear a man kind of own up to the challenges and what I didn't know and what I should have known and what I would have liked to have known, I think women are like, oh, thank God, I feel seen. I feel seen. There is men out there who actually, want to know and want to take notice. And I feel like that's slowly changing. And that's something that I'm really excited to sort of help, as well as support the fellas out there, be educated. So they're supported as well as their partner.
Every woman would want to show that video clip to their partner as well. Because it's not an easy conversation to also be having with your partner, especially when you're trying to navigate it and you don't even know how you feel. How are you supposed to tell someone else how you feel?
True, right? That is so true. And I struggled with that too, because I didn't know how to express what I was feeling to Cam, because I was so lost in the loss of libido and feeling embarrassed about that, and then feeling like I didn't want to sleep in the same bed and I didn't want to hurt his feelings. And how do you navigate that when you're struggling with so much of your own stuff anyway? So it's so true. If you don't know why or how or what's going on, you can't, it's very difficult to explain that to your partner.
And also opening up these conversations more and more. I feel like we've come a long way. We're still not quite there yet, but even when it comes to puberty and what we're teaching young people about their bodies changing and having these conversations, like you said at the beginning, it kind of got to perimenopause and menopause and it just stopped. This is part of that conversation from a much younger age as well, really enrolling people into what happens across all phases and stages.
Yeah.
I look at my son and we just talk about everything openly when it comes to puberty and the changes that each of them have seen or will expect to see. No one really bats an eyelid. It's not like it's a taboo conversation anymore.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, that was you got a handbook.
Oh my God. And never did you talk about periods.
Never.
Good God, no.
Never.
Yeah.
Even now, if I mention anything like that, even in front of my dad, he'll go, "Oh, Nat, can you not?" It's a generational thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Same though, I think, for that conversation about women's changing hormones. It's like, oh, I don't really need to know about that. Like, oh, you do need to know about
you
that.
do.
Might actually help you a lot if you know about that.
Yeah.
For the woman listening that wants to have these conversations, do you have anything to say? Because that initial conversation with your partner can feel really scary, and it's probably the first thing that needs to actually be happening.
I think one way to do it is to just ask your partner to come with you to the doctor or to the naturopath or whoever you're going to go see, and hopefully it's someone that's trusted and will really hear you. Take them with you so they can hear it from a professional. Sometimes that might help trigger something more than hearing the wife say it, So I think take them with you and then the doctor or whoever can explain, these are the symptoms. This is what's going on for her. So I feel like that can sink in a little bit deeper for them. And there's some good information out there now on websites there's a lot of information that men can read up. I just feel like if you love your wife, wouldn't you want to know? I had a beautiful experience. I'd been so used to seeing just a sea of women. It was all women. And then finally there was this fellow in the room. And he came up with his wife and I said, "Thank you so much for coming. It was lovely to see you." And she said, "Well, if there was a talk on prostate cancer, I would go to that. If you care for each other, wouldn't you want to know what was going on with your wife?" I mean, this one I do think really can affect a relationship. I was ready to walk on Cameron so many times in the middle of the night. I had figured out so many ways that it was wrong and he was a dick and oh my God. Remember when he did that 25 years ago? I'm really still mad about it. It was like,
oh, we laugh, but it's not funny at the time. I'm sorry. But you know what? It's important you say this because how many other women are like, "Oh my goodness, yes."
And things I hadn't thought about for so long was all of a sudden really bothering me again. I'm like, what's happening to my brain? And of course we all talk about, when they start to chew loudly or snore or that one thing that they've done forever and now it's annoying. It shows in our numbers that, divorce is the highest at this point. Suicide is the highest at this point for women. There's too many facts that are there for us that we can't sort of turn away from, knowing that we need to talk about it. We need to look at it and be a lot kinder to ourselves, I think, too.
Look at the weight that we carry, though, when it comes to, if the children need something, you're going to be at the appointment with them. If your partner needs something, you're going to be at the meeting or the discussion with them. But then there's us, so many women still just going to the doctor on their own because, we don't want to have those conversations or they're hard until it's really bad.
Yes.
It really does speak to how much we carry.
Yeah.
To your point, you're looking after the kids, you're looking after your parents, you're looking after yourselves, you're looking after the household. You're probably working still too in amongst all of that.
Exactly.
It's not surprising when you stop and reflect. Yet I just don't think we do it enough of that reflection.
And I think it comes from being trained from such an early age, where, our young girls, I mean, I was one of them. My daughters are same, just carry on through those period cramps. You just got to keep going.
I had to stop myself, become very aware, and this is no disrespect to my mother. My mother is actually one of the healthiest people I know and very health focused and looks after herself and all of us tremendously. But I remember her saying to me one day when I was younger, "I'm so sorry, Nat, it's just the way that it is. It sucks to be a woman." I remember her saying that to me. And I remember going to say that to my daughter and stopping myself. I can fix that. First and foremost, that's what we do. It's ingrained. It's still so much of this is ingrained in us. It sucks to be a woman. I'm so sorry. Look what you have to put up with. If it's not period pain, it's childbearing. If it's not that, then it's night sweats. It sucks to be a woman. That's probably the only information our mums gave us.
Yeah. Yeah. You just push through or maybe take a painkiller and see if that helps you've had a baby. Oh, when are you going to get back into shape? When are you going to go back to work? Oh, sleepless nights, that's okay. You've still got a baby to look after. It's just you push and you push through so much. But that was where I felt like I couldn't push through menopause. I just could not push. That was too hard to push through. And that I'm grateful for. because that made me pull myself up and go, I think I need to change the way I'm doing this self-care thing.
To the point also, we've spoken about husbands. Our children we probably need to do the same with, having those conversations as well.
Absolutely. And kids are so intuitive as well. So I feel like, connected to their mums. And if I know I had to sort of talk to my kids about, how I was feeling really sad a lot and sometimes really angry a lot, but it's not about you. And once I sort of explained to them, just so you know, it has nothing to do with you, they were okay, because I think they were kind of thinking, had I done something? Or why is mum upset? What's happening with mum? I didn't go into the depth of anything, but just to sort of say, I'm going through something, it's hormonal, I'll come out the other side, it'll be okay. But if you see me sad, it's okay. It's not, you've done nothing wrong.
Right.
It's just mum. They needed to hear that from me.
To the point of all this that we're talking about, how all these symptoms and how bad we can feel, there is another side to it. We can feel better.
Yes.
I think just talking about it and preparing. What I don't want women to feel or think is to have this expectation of it being horrendous.
Yeah.
That's why we're having these conversations.
Absolutely.
So that we can scaffold and pivot things earlier, right?
Yes.
I had someone say to me not long ago, how do I know when I'm in the thick of it? And I was like, I really hope you're never in the thick of it.
Right?
Like, that's the whole point of these conversations.
Yeah.
But I think because we're having more conversations, we have to be mindful about setting ourselves up for disaster as well, looking for every little sign and symptom and weighing into how bad something is when maybe what we focus on also is what we create. So I think these conversations are about awareness and then about showing people that there are things that you can do. They're just different to what you did before.
Yeah. And it's funny when some women have apologized for not having any symptoms of menopause, like, I breezed through, and I'm like, I love that for you. Like I want to hear that story as well. I want you to tell the 30 and 35-year-olds that. Tell them that. It's not, you might be one of those women easily that breeze through. But as you say, what can I do in preparation just so it can be a bit more of a glide through as well?
I feel like we might have answered this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway in case we've missed something here, and especially in your opinion. But do you feel like, is there something we've missed here that society and maybe even the health system is failing to support women with when it comes to this transition?
I know that there are still doctors out there here, and I always say no shame on doctors by any way, shape or form. The doctors that I have spoken to in the perimenopause space are often deeply embarrassed by the women that they did dismiss before they understood about hormones. They said, I have a doctor who's like, I was one of those doctors who sent women away and was like, it's nothing. Your bloods are fine. And it's just a bit of stress or it's just a bit of this. And she's like, I'm horrified when I think about those women because I understand it now, because I took the time to study it. We just need more doctors who will take the time to really understand the full effects of hormones so they can speak to women about that. I do think there needs to be longer than a 15-minute session.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that's why I loved my naturopath so much too, because just an hour with her, of her listening to me and being empathetic, was cured half of my menopausal symptoms.
Right.
Just that dismissiveness of, because we're already dismissed so much already, in our lives, and like to have a professional dismiss you in a place that you're really struggling is not helpful at all. So I think we just need more of that. I think there also needs to be more study on hormones, more research. I mean, we've done a lot on male libido and all the effects of that. I feel like there needs to be more on for women as well. So just more. We're going in the right direction, but just more.
Now, if you could sit down with your younger self, the Ali that graced our magazine covers, what would you tell her about this phase of life?
I would tell her everything, because she knew nothing. And I would say, look, when you start to notice any kind of change, even before that actually, And whether she would have listened, because I doubtful back then, but if I could have ingrained in myself really the importance of self-care, I would have loved to have done that. It took me to perimenopause to understand what self-care really meant. But if I had have just been able to get that through my head and heart, that was something I really needed to do, and it wasn't going to be the sacrifice of anyone else. It just was to be able to care for myself more deeply, and heading into a phase where I knew about what I needed to do. I knew I needed to eat more protein or whatever it was, and protect my sleep a little bit more, give myself a little bit more time off, or whatever that needed to be, but just to gently ease myself through that time. I really would have loved to have told her that.
I think we're good at taking care of ourselves as teenagers.
Yeah.
Once we start caring for other people, it sort of starts to all fall away. It's such a great thing for us to actually be. It's the one thing we can do without needing to ask anyone else's, hopefully, permission. It's not a medical, it's just something that you go and carve out for yourself, which can have such a massive impact on your hormones, the downstream effect of that. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sitting with me today. This has been such a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, it's so lovely to meet you in person, because I know we follow each other on Instagram, and it's one of those things I feel like I know now. To get you in person
in the
really
reels
lovely.
Is always much better. Always much better. Really excited. We've got an event actually.
I know.
So I'll just give that a shameless plug. Why not? I didn't actually think about that until now.
Let's go.
But we do have an event in Sydney, and whilst we haven't yet released details, just going to have to keep your eyes peeled, because I have a feeling it might sell out like that between the four of us that are going to be part of that. That's going to be very exciting and very much focused around all the things we've spoken about today. So
I'm excited for that.
I'm very excited too. Well, thank you again.
Thanks, Nat.
If you've loved listening to this episode, then please go ahead and rate the episode. Give us a little review. Tell us what you loved, because we love creating the content that you want to hear more of. And so with that, I'll say until next time, bye for now.